Hello everybody and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Well, you join me in the car again today. My private personal car this time, not the taxi. Um, so welcome everyone. Let's get the corporate bit out first. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So today it's going to talk a quick one about dreams. Now, I don't know about you guys, but recently I've been having some very strange dreams. My dream pattern has been a little bit different to how it has been normally, and I thought, there must be other people that are struggling as well. And sleep hasn't always been easy, and I've had some very bad night's sleep, and then I'll be given a decent night's kip, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. So yeah, dreams. I thought I'd share with you a couple of experiences that have happened recently, and see if it resonates with you guys. And because we're all connected, aren't we? We're all one big family. We are the big family after all. So yeah, a couple of things have happened which have been very different. Probably last week I had a dream, and some of the characters in the dream, and I didn't know who they were, but I could see their faces, which is very unusual. But what was more unusual about this was it was in high definition. So these characters really stood out. I mean, super bright. Everybody else around was kind of dull or the normal kind of colour, and these people were just vivid colours. They were wearing a red top, and the red really came out. I mean, oh my god, and they were just like HD colour compared to everything else, super bright. And that dream lasted all night long, which again is quite unusual. So I was kind of like, well, that's very unusual. Doesn't I mean, I've never had that before. I've never had an HD dream before. So there we go. So that's quite an interesting one. So I don't know if any of you guys have had an HD dream recently where the characters in your dream, not that you know them, but you recognize them and you interact with them, but they are super bright. And again, anybody who is into dreams and stuff like that, answers on a postcard too. Very interesting. And something else that's happened recently, which is kind of another strange one, is for 3 nights running, I and my partner had the same dream. So it wasn't a particularly long dream. It wasn't a big. It was a nothing burger dream, really, memory wise. But my partner and I, for 3 nights running, had the same dream, as in same kind of dream. We were able to express what we remembered of the dreams to each other, and we both had the same place, same kind of people, same scenario. No, that's weird. That's really weird, you know. And going back to the Pandora's box one, where the Mayans collectively dreamed themselves out of this reality. I mean, that was pre-show. I mean, but well before the show, probably a week before nearly. But that's a very strange one as well, isn't it? Dreaming the same dreams as your partner, or having the same dream, and it was just a mundane dream. Nothing about it stood out in any way, shape, or form. But what we expressed was what had happened to each other. So that's quite an interesting one. That one, I was like, whoa, that's very interesting, very strange. And then that stopped, which is fine. I was quite happy about that. Dreams are personal, really. I think in a strange way, but obviously not so much. But I've also been having some very frantic dreams, almost if we're running, that kind of dream. I've actually woken up out of breath a couple of times on separate occasions, but with that kind of dream of running and fast pace and things are speeding up, and what's that one about as well? So You know, these are things I'm experiencing which are a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit out of the ordinary. But this is a real biggie. This one's, that's very interesting, this one. And right, my partner had a dream, but it was a nightmare. And she was looking into the eyes of a demon, a demonic entity. And she stood up to this demonic entity in her dream saying, I'm not scared of you and you can jog on. And, you know, you can go away. And which it did. But the point at which she told it to go away, she spoke in her sleep. And she mentioned or said 4 sentences. They weren't long sentences. Now, I can't tell you what they were because I was asleep but waking up. I caught most of the first sentence. I caught the second, I caught the third, and I caught the 4th sentence. If you asked me to say what they were now, I could not. And I couldn't have written them down and remembered either. And the reason is that as I woke up to these 4 sentences, these 4 words, they were only 4 or 5 word sentences. They weren't big sentences, okay? You know, blah 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 blah, and that was, you know, and that was that they were the blahs were the words, you know. But as she finished the 4th sentence, above my head, a cube appeared, a square. I could see through the cube, but I could also see the edges. So it was a clear box cube, but it was defined by the outer edges of the box, and you could see through it. So I could see it was a cube because you could see all the squares. It was like a 3D drawing on a piece of paper, but it was above my head, and it was probably about 3 foot, just over 3 foot, a meter square, sat above my head. Now, as I came to from hearing this, and all of a sudden I'm aware of this great big square cube over my head, I was like focused and looked, and as I looked it went. But I was like, oh my God. And obviously, because I was like, oh my God, wow. And Mel had been talking in her sleep, and she'd gone, oh, she said, oh my God, just, you know, and she told me the story straight away of what she'd seen. And she'd said to this demon, do one. And obviously she had spoken some kind of tongue that had come out. And I saw a cube, a see-through cube, like a glass cube, perspex, clear glass or perspex cube. And as soon as I focused on it to have a really good look at it, it was gone, and I was awake. So that's that zone just between the awake and the asleep. Now that's mad. I've never had that before. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had that before, but that's a very interesting one, that one. Very, very interesting. So, yeah. So there's certainly been some strange dreams going on and issues with sleeping, getting off to sleep. I'm normally a pretty good sleeper. My head touches the pillow and I'm off. But there has been periods when I haven't, or I've gone to sleep, but I've not gone to sleep in a deep way, and I'm kind of aware of everything. Very strange. Very, very strange. You're losing time, but you know you're not asleep. You know you're not awake, but you're somewhere else. So I don't know if you guys are getting that as well at the moment. It's very interesting. Now, on a back note to all this, when you start looking into human design, and obviously Matena Platonic Planes is the man for this one, I can assure you. But when you go to sleep, your human design, which is really your daytime or waking design, changes to something called the night rave. and you have a different kind of human design when you're asleep, which is something we only learned a couple of 3 months ago. So that was quite an interesting one. But when you go to sleep, the neutrinos have a big effect on you. Now, for me, neutrinos are the base code of the matrix. That's the way I like to see it. You know, in the matrix, when we had all that code going down, well, for me, that's neutrinos, and they allow the atomic matter to form into whatever we then see, if we were looking at it in that respect, okay? Now, neutrinos apparently come from the sun or the moon, and they're everywhere, and they're constantly everywhere. And science knows that neutrinos exist, but you try and get a definition from science on what a neutrino is, you're in trouble. They ain't going to do it. It just doesn't happen. So that's quite fascinating. But the thing about the dream wave or the dream rave is that when you're asleep, you have often have a different. So I'm a manifesting generator, but when I go to sleep, I turn into a reflector. Or a reflector will turn into a generator or manifesting generator. When they're asleep, it changes generally. And you have a lot less gates. So you turn into a more of a basic human being in your sleep state, if we can put it that way. There's not, all these gate centers around the body. All the energy centers, they all close down, and that they become very limited, which is quite interesting. But what appears to happen is those people that awake on the other side of the realm have an effect on your dream, and can affect your dream because the neutrinos or atomic, it's what's it called, something entanglement, I can't think of the word now, and why would I, because I want to tell you about it. But atomic entanglement. And basically, an atom one side of the universe instantaneously knows what the atom the other side of the universe is doing and knows. And this is atomic entanglement. And the neutrinos seem to be working within this fluidity of this in the waveform. And so what we're getting is the people that are awake affect the people that are asleep. And when we wake up and those people go to sleep, we then affect them in their sleep, depending on what kind of dream rave setup they have, which is quite fascinating. So I wonder if the dreams are changing because the people are changing. And so the people that are awake when we're asleep and vice versa are having an effect on us in our dreams, because we're all one, we're all connected. So I just thought I'd leave that conundrum there at the back as well. Interesting, very interesting, obviously. And so yeah, this is just a quick one today about the dreams and sleeping, and how it's difficult at the moment, and things really are up and down, to say the least. And last night I actually had a decent night's kip. For the previous 2 nights, I really didn't. And obviously the moon has an effect on that, but the moon at the moment isn't a full moon. On the full moon, I always used to struggle, and I often do struggle to sleep on the full moon. And Matens very eloquently of Platonic Planes has very, very eloquently expressed the fact that the moon opens up you, and so causes lots of issues with the lunacy of the moon. But we haven't got full moon at the moment, and this is not full moon. This is not full moon madness or lunacy or effect, as far as I'm concerned. This is something else. So if you guys are feeling that as well, you're not alone. Could this be ascension symptoms? Of course it could. Of course it could. Could just be another step in our awakening and our frequency uplift. from one thing to another. But you're not alone. You know, I'm having it. The missus is having it. Other people we've spoken to are going, oh my God, yeah. So I figured it was time I did a little one and just said, you know, if you're having this, you're not alone. It's okay. It's okay, you know. So with that, love, light and blessings. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. You know, we are in a very good place. Everything's as it should be. We've got no worries. We really have no worries. And thank you very much for all the people who correspond with me and leave the lovely comments. Really do appreciate it. Love you all. You're amazing people. And what a journey and what a time to be alive. So with that, love, light and blessings, everybody. And I'll say goodbye. Bye, everyone.